I've thought about our family, and I've been asked questions about our family history by my grandchildren. I have acquired a few of the old family pictures and received some additional information from Charlie Walters, the son of Minnie, one of my father's sisters. Charlie is now 87 years old and living in Elmont, Long Island. The Parker side of my family originated in England. Charlie said that Aunt Ruth had our roots traced back to a Sir Parker. My great-grandfather came from England before the Civil War. He had a bootery in Jacksonville, Florida, where he made shoes for the wealthy. He learned his trade in England. Close to the Civil War, he must have moved to Pennsylvania, where at least one of his 4 children were born. He was killed in the Civil War. Records show that Henry Franklin Parker, my grandfather, was born in Pennsylvania in 1859. He invented the seltzer maker for soda water. I remember hearing Grandmother Parker received royalties from the invention until her death. His wife, Minnie Swab, and he had 6 children, 5 girls, and 1 boy, my father, Howard Henry Parker, born in 1891. My grandfather died young, and grandmother married 2 more times. Her second husband died on their wedding night. Then she married Richard Burkholz. This table chair I'm sitting in was hers. Grandmother Parker lived with Aunt Ada in Mattituck in her later years. This chair was stored in Ada's basement. I brought it to California on the plane with me during one of my visits. My mother's family originated in Bohemia. My grandfather, Peter Nedved, and my grandmother, Mary Muzukar Nedved, were born in the United States. Both sets of their parents were born in Bohemia. My mother, Agnes Nedved, was born in New York in 1892. She married Howard Henry Parker. This is Christmas week, 1992. I am visiting with Diana and Denny in California. Through the miracle of modern electronics, I invite you to come with me as my memory takes us through the years. H. Parker Shoe Store in Jacksonville, Florida. We believe the person on the left may be Parker. Mary Musica Nedved, my grandmother, was born in the United States. She married Peter Nedved. They had 5 children: Joseph, Peter, Anna, Agnes, my mother, and her twin sister Mary. The Parker family in 1915. My dad, Howard, is in center front. Grandma Parker is to his left. Here I am. Evelyn A. Parker was born October 8, 1914, 7:11 p.m. in New York City, with my mother in Chicago at the age of 9 months in 1915. Joseph Nedved, one of Mother's brothers, about the same time. Agnes Marie Parker, my sister, was born February 27, 1917. Here she is, later that year. This is Agnes with Anna Elias, a cousin of my mother. Agnes' mother and I at the same time at Anna Elias's house with her dog. The Nedved and Elias family in 1917. Standing far left is Aunt Anna. Fourth from left is Margaret Warren. Second from right is my mother, and next to her is her twin, Aunt Mary. This is a fun picture. Aunt Mary is at the extreme top right. Mother had brown hair and brown eyes, while her twin Mary had blonde hair and blue eyes. Aunt Anna and Aunt Mary. Aunt Anna always said she was on line twice when noses were given out. Aunt Anna is second from right. Aunt Anna and husband John Feuerbach on left. Mother around 1919. Mother and her dear friend Margaret Warren. Two very scared children. We were outside playing when a stranger came with the fake horse, put us on it, and took our picture. Mother didn't know this picture was being taken until a man came to our house to sell it to her. This is our 38-foot yacht, the Diana, in dry dock in Bayside, Long Island. We had the boat from 1919 to 1921. Father and Agnes in 1919. The year is 1920, the boat Diana with its twin boat next to it. Dad, Mother, and Aunt Mary complete the picture. Dad, Agnes, and I. I am at the boat. A very cute picture of Agnes. This is a building at the Bayside, Long Island Marina. The mansion on the hill was owned by an actress, is still there today, and is considered a landmark. The Diana moored in Little Neck Bay. A launch was used to get to the boat. It was boarded via a rope ladder. The great fishing women. Agnes, nicknamed Buddy, was not too sure of the catch. Margaret and Mother. They were having a good time. Note the late model car in the background. Mother and Margaret in their play clothes. Notice their dress shoes. No sneakers in those days. Father standing on the ground. John Reitz, Aunt Mary's husband, on ladder, and Aunt Mary standing on left. Dad and Mother. Note the smock and hat she wore over her travel clothes for either work or play at the marina. An excursion to Plum Island. Back row is Margaret, Mother, Aunt Mary. Lying down is Aunt Anna. Agnes and myself are in front. The person holding Buddy and me is Uncle John Feuerbach. They never had any children. Aunt Anna died early in life. The yacht Diana met a fiery end about July 11th, 1921, when a mysteriously set fire gutted her while she was anchored in Little Neck Bay. The news article said the yacht was valued about $3,000. Dad and Mother had their final separation in 1921, perhaps about the time this picture was taken. The Parker family in 1922. Sitting right is Aunt Ruth and Uncle Tom Pye. Aunt Ruth's second husband. Cousin Rita Sherman is standing on the left. Dad with Aunt Ruth on the right. I think Aunt Minnie is on the left. Frank Sherman, Aunt Ada's first husband, with my dad, Howard. Rita and Dad. Rita Sherman, my cousin, was a year younger than I was. More Parkers, bottom. Cousin Walter Clausen and Rita Sherman. Aunt Ruth, Walter's mom, Grandmother Parker, and standing left is Frank. In 1921, Buddy and I were enrolled in Sevilla, a school for raising and educating young ladies. The school was established by the very wealthy Mr. Sevilla. He died before the school was completed in 1907. It was then run by a board of trustees. The school was a live-in establishment and enrollment was limited to 63 children. We learned dancing, singing, sewing, and cooking from hired teachers, attended public school during the week, and went to camp during the summer. These pictures were taken in 1922. Sitting, Father and Marie. He married Marie in 1927. Dad in 1923, the Great Hunter. I believe this is near Mattituck or New Suffolk on Long Island. Father at Hellgate, an area near the Bronx in 1924. John Reitz, my cousin, Aunt Mary's son, as an infant in 1924. This is in front of Sevilla. The staff consisted of a superintendent, assistant superintendent, day nurse, night nurse, pantry lady, cook and assistant cook, laundry lady and assistant, a sewing lady to mend clothes. On Saturday, we each had a chore to do. The back of Sevilla, there were 2 groundskeepers who doubled as engineers to maintain the furnaces for steam, heat, and hot water in the powerhouse. Each dorm had its own baths with tubs, toilets, sinks, and tile floors. Buddy and I were here for about 9.5 years. Most things were state-of-the-art, including radio when first available. We even had our own infirmary with a dentist's office. A dentist was there 1/2 day on Saturdays. In fact, I had my first set of braces from him. A very modern dresser is Mother. On trip to Toronto with her is Mrs. Duke. Mother was dating her son. Ralph Duke, a beau of Mother's. Mother on visiting day in 1926. Agnes, my sister, on visiting day the same year. Agnes and me, age 10 and 12. Mother made our clothes. Friendships were made there that have lasted my lifetime. Here with Virginia and Martha Brinkman is their mother. Virginia lives near me in Coram, Long Island. Martha lives in Kansas City, Missouri. The Unholy Three in 1928. Mother used to call us that. During the summer, we'd go by bus to different beaches. Here at Rye Beach are Hannah, Camille, and Joe. Yours truly at Rye Beach. Ralph Duke, Mother, and Uncle Tom Pye. He is Aunt Ruth's second husband. He was a nice guy. Uncle Tom, Aunt Ruth, Reggie, Uncle Tom's brother. This is at Aunt Ruth's house in Queens. Mother at Aunt Ruth's. Again at Sevilla, standing, Gertrude, Mrs. Cross, Assistant Superintendent, Miss Darling, Superintendent, Madge, Margaret, and Marie. The girls were some of the older girls. I still write to Margaret. Her sister Alice and husband left Cuba right before the Castro took over. My Aunt Mary, Mother's twin, on her fire escape in New York City. Mother, Agnes Nedved Parker at Aunt Mary's. Cousin Johnny at 4 years old. Agnes on roof at Mother's apartment house at 79th Street between York Avenue and East River. Sunday school class. I'm on the right. This is at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in the Bronx. I made my confirmation here. Outside playing with the groundskeeper's dog is Agnes. Don't we look cute? Jeannie Karakuski, Lily Andrew, Louise Sutter, and me. I don't know one of the names that's in the picture. Agnes, Aunt Ruth, with me at Aunt Ruth's house in 1928. Uncle Tom, Agnes, Walter, with me and Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth would tell Mother to bring us to visit them. We'd have a good time. Rita and I, Mother had made my dress and wanted to a picture of Rita in it so she could make her one too. Rita lives in Mattituck now with her daughter Rosemary and her husband Bill. She has grandchildren in the area. Rita in my dress, Buddy doesn't seem to care one way or the other. The summers of 1928, 29, and 30 were spent at Camp Gould North. It had its own lake. It was in Nyack, New York. When Dad came to visit, he asked me if the lake was fresh water. After much thought, I answered, no. It's been here since we came. I never lived that down. The mess hall at camp. The Erie Railroad ran right through the camp. We called these shacks, which we lived in. That was roughing it. The farmhouse where the administration was administered. Bobby, our camp mascot. I'm in front of a counselor's shack. There was an outhouse and counselor's shack at each end of the row of shacks. We had swimming lessons every day. We had lots of races and could also get our Red Cross life-saving certificates. Louise Sutter taking her life-saving test. Edna Moore, she lives in Mattituck. Her son John lives in California. She married a local man, Jake Selecki. And Mother came to visit. Agnes, Mother, Evelyn, and Father. I'm with Marion here, the first year at camp. Buddy at 11 years old with Dad's hat on. This was Buddy's first boyish bob. She liked dressing in comfortable clothes. My shack friends, Edna Moore, Vicky, Flo, Rita, Marion, Hannah, and Camilla. I am taking the picture. Walter with Buddy and me. Aunt Ruth and Uncle Tom visited often. Bathing Beauties, 1928. Camp, 1929. I'm almost 15 years old. Here I am as Priscilla in a skit at camp. Our cabin in 1929. Front, Martha, Evelyn, Angela. Back row is Grace, Rita, and Louise. Agnes. Yours truly waking up. And again, Evelyn, Mother, and Agnes. Our last summer at camp in 1930. Visiting day frolics. Mother, Joe, Agnes, Rita, Evelyn, Flo, and Angela. Parking our cans on the washstand. This is where we had cold water for washing hands and face. Hot water was on the other side of the tracks. That's me, such talent, and I would even get back up without help. Georgia Castanis. Georgia lives in California. I visit with her whenever I visit California. Yours truly. We even had sheep at camp. Visiting day, 1930. Agnes, Mother, and I. What a group. First row, Rita, Joe, and Evelyn. Second row, Georgia, Flo, and Grace. Top row, Angela and Louise. I'm busy giving Rita a boyish bob. I started cutting hair at camp in 1927. A visiting day back at Sevilla. Mother brought us these lovely dresses in 1929. We loved shopping with her for our clothes. Agnes, Dad, and myself on a visiting day. Norm and Mervyn Nedved were my mother's brother's Peter's children. After serving in World War II in Germany, Peter Nedved came back through Canada, met his wife, and came to Newburgh, New York to live. He had been exposed to mustard gas while in Germany. He died sometime between then and this visit. His wife sold her stationery store and moved back to Canada. Jack, a cousin of theirs, Mervyn and Norm in Canada in 1930. Later, Norm was one of the first 13 Canadians to go to fight in England in World War II. There he met his bride. Agnes and I, growing up in our last years in Sevilla. This is Buddy. At 16, I was quite grown up. Agnes, Mother, and I. As part of our schooling, we put on plays. Here is Joe and Rita in Cinderella, Joe and Marion, Camille as Uncle Sam. I'm playing an Indian in Uncle Sam's visit. I tried my hand at costume design by making mine and 6 other Indian costumes. Mother had to get into the spirit of things by trying on my costume. Buddy thinking or pretending to be very coy, I'd say. Mother would visit her friend Mrs. Woodger in East Marion. This is Mrs. Woodger in front of her rental place. Her daughter Bee would sit for me in Elmhurst, New York, where they lived. Mother ready for some surf and sun. Mother still in East Marion, poised for action. 1931, Mother in a Gypsy Costume. My graduation day from 9th grade. The summer of 1931 saw us visiting Little Falls, New York. Buddy and I are enjoying the baby bears in our stylish pajamas. Jones's Beach, sun and fun. Here are Aunt Ruth, myself, Mother, Agnes, and Cousin Walter. In the fall, I started business school for billing and bookkeeping on the Elliott Fisher machine. I commuted to Manhattan each day. Buddy was going to school in East New York. So ends the first chapter. A year and a half has passed since we made Chapter 1 of Through the Years. During that time, new information has been unearthed, therefore an addendum to Part 1. A correction needs to be made concerning my Uncle Peter Nedved, my mother's brother. He had been married previous to World War I, but his family returned. He served in World War I, not World War II, as I mistakenly said previously. When he returned from the war, the family moved to Newburgh, New York, established a stationery store, and remained there until Peter's death, the result of mustard gas used during World War I. The family then moved back to Canada. This picture postcard of St. Joseph's Home for Girls in Flushing, Long Island, was sent to me at camp in 1928 by my Aunt Ruth. Note on the back said, "Keep this card. Mother will tell you all about this place." My grandmother, Mary Mazuka Nedved, died quite young, and Mother, her twin Mary, and Anna were placed in St. Joseph's Home until Grandfather Nedved could adjust and make arrangements for the girls' care. It was a short stay. This picture, taken in May 1921, shows the group after our spring recital, which was directed by the dance and music instructor at Sevilla. Agnes, nicknamed Buddy, and I are in the front row holding balloons. Mother said I was pouting because my balloon was deflating. Mother, about this time on the roof at 79th Street apartment. In this 1925 picture, Agnes is 8 years old and I am 10. In the top row are some of the trustees. Mrs. Parker, the superintendent, is in the white dress. Some of the alumni visited the May 1936 festivities. Miss Darling, then superintendent, is in center of the group. I took this picture. Here I am at the same time. My involvement with Girl Scouts started early. Here is my membership certificate for the year ending December 1927. I became a Girl Scout leader in Mattituck about 1946 or 47. Now for Chapter 2 of Through the Years, which introduces the Gunther family. April 1931, Mother, Buddy, and I moved to Montauk Avenue in East New York, a very quiet, lovely street. This is Mother on the porch. I am on the steps of the same house. I was 16 years old. Mother and I are on a visit to East Marion. We are wrapped in blankets after swimming. Gypsy Rest Tea Room business card. Mother worked here during the 1920s and 30s. Special hot and cold luncheon, 30 to 50 cents. On March 12, 1932, I met Bill Gunther, whom I later married. This note was found in a notebook of Bill's. Also in the notebook were other addresses and information on electric trains. Bill Gunther at Highland Park. He was working for Reed's Union Dairy and Ice Cream in 1921. He was a wholesale salesman and delivery driver. Highland Park was within walking distance of our house. At this point, I am going to go into the background of Bill's family. Bill's mother, Christina, was born Christina Lemp on September 5, 1867, in Ronhauser, Hessen, Germany. She was baptized October 8, 1867, and confirmed April 1, 1881, in Lutheran Church there. This is her confirmation certificate. Later in the video, we will see a picture of this church. Christina's family were farmers. While still in Germany, she earned the money for passage to the United States. At the age of 20, Christina followed her sister to the United States. She arrived August 3, 1888, on the SS Lawn. She worked as a cook for a wealthy doctor in New York. She even made wine and cheese for the family. We gave the Martin Luther Bible she brought with her to the Lutheran Church in Aquabogue, Long Island, in her memory. This is a thank you note for it. Christina married George Jacob William Gunther in November of 1889 in New York City. He was born in 1862 in Marburg, Hessen, Germany, where he learned the trade of piano maker. He entered New York in 1882. We feel this could be a picture of him or else his brother. He made and finished grand pianos for Chronic and Bach in New York City. He used pieces of broken glass to do some of the finest smoothing of the wood. I actually watched him do some of that finishing on something at his home. This picture of Marburg from a very old book we think George brought with him from Germany. Marburg had a castle as well as a university. We are going to sidetrack a little and show some recent videos of Marburg and Ronhauser, proving that the world is really small. Bill's brother George's son Billy and 4 children. Billy's oldest daughter, Barbara, married Michael Stewart. Michael's mother, Anne, was born about 50 miles from Marburg and Ronhausen.
My name is Ann Stewart, and I'm the mother-in-law of Barbara Stewart Gunther. I was born in Germany, and I lived there until I was 21 years old, and I go back often to visit, and I went back in May of 1992. And we heard from Aunt Evelyn that grandfather Gunther came from Marburg, and his wife, Christina Lemp, came from Ronhausen, which are both in the state of Hessen. We happened to come through there on our way back from a little trip, and so we made this tape. The first part of the tape is the city of Marburg. This is the castle and the church, and in the letters that you have from Christina Lemp, they talk about the city of Marburg often. And this is part of the university. You'll see the medical part of the university. And there's the castle way up on the hill. Martin Luther lectured here. I've been up in the castle several times, and there's a room there where there's a lot of history. It's the little town of Ronhausen where Christina Lemp lived. Was born and lived until she went to the United States, we think. It's just a small town, maybe 10 minutes away from the city of Marburg. You see the old type houses, old German houses. You can see the church up there. The original church had been destroyed by fire. Christina Lemp was confirmed in this church. And the church had been rebuilt. The foundations are still the old ones. You can see old houses and new houses right beside each other, new ones being built, and old ones all restored and kept up very well. Some of those houses probably are from the 17th, 18th century and older. We went to the parsonage and talked to the pastor, and he gave us the information on the church that it had burned down originally and been rebuilt. And he looked through some church records but didn't have all the information on the Lemp family. He gave us the names of some of the people by the name of Lemp that still attended the church there, and one of this is the parsonage here, the yellow building, and one of the daughters didn't live very far, so we found the house and went there and visited with her for a little while. Lady, her maiden name was Lemp, and she has two brothers. They all still live in the same town. And this is the father and mother of the lady. His name was Lemp, and so definitely maybe a third cousin to Bill Gunther or so. And she directed us to her brother's house, but he was not home. We talked to his wife very shortly, and she pointed out a house to us. It has Gratesley on the front and white boards on the side. I hope you can identify it on the tape. It has the Gratesley tiles on the front of the house. That's the home place of the Lemp family. Some 100 years Lemps had lived in that house. The pastor said there are lots of records, but they were kept somewhere else, and this was a Saturday when we came through, so we weren't able to go and check it out anymore. But he said if somebody was interested, it wouldn't be hard to trace back the family history and town there in Marburg. He said lots of people from this area came to the United States. And the interesting part is that my mother, who was with us, her grandfather came from a little town, you see it on the road sign, Wenkbach, which is only about 3 miles from Ronhausen, where Christina Lemp was from. So basically my grandchildren's ancestors came from 2 towns right next to each other. My family actually lives about 50 miles away from here. But my mom's grandfather had left the family farm and went looking for work and came to where we are living now.
Christina and George's firstborn son, Henry, seen here, was born June 8, 1890. They were living on 14th Street in New York City, which was considered uptown then. This baptismal certificate for Henry dated the 25th of October, 1890. Henry was almost 3 years old when he died in May of 1893 from diphtheria croup. This is a receipt for the burial plot in the old Lutheran cemetery. According to the directions on the deed, the cemetery is located in Middle Village in Queens, 4 miles from the Williamsburg ferries. North 2nd Street Horsecar Railroad runs from the ferries to the cemetery. This is a deed to the Gunther Cemetery plot. Christina and George waited a long time before having more children. They moved to Ridgewood, Queens. It was all farmland then. George would take a horse-drawn trolley across to New York City each day to work. In the wintertime, they would make a fire in the stove in the trolley. Whoever got there first was the lucky fire starter. This picture is of Jack Gunther's family. Jack was George's brother. They were both in New York together. The two families kept in close contact with each other. George William Gunther was born July 7, 1902, and William Gunther was born June 14, 1905. Christina was so concerned for George's health she didn't allow him to even crawl on the floor. This picture was probably taken about 1910. George and Bill is on the right. This is Bill's confirmation at Ebenezer Presbyterian Church in Ridgewood, Queens. Bill and George were baptized there. Bill and I were married at this church, and Diana and Bill Gunther, my nephew, were baptized there too. When trying to get proof of birth for Bill, the baptismal records were very helpful since the birth certificates of George and Bill were filled out when Bill was born. George's birth certificate contained all the information, but Bill's had his name and the word same in all the other blanks. To make matters worse, it was never registered. To prove he was a citizen, Bill needed both birth certificates, his baptismal certificate, and a copy of the census from that time. This tenement house occupancy certificate was for the house in Ridgewood, Queens, which was owned by Christina and George. Our first apartment or flat was in this tenement. A proclamation of April 19, 1918, required aliens to register. This is Christina's registration card. We don't know if immigrants had to register before this. Bill drove for Reed's Ice Cream. This is his chauffeur's license for 1924. In the old days, a person had to be literate in English to register to vote. An exam was taken at a local school and certificate of literacy was issued. This is Bill's certificate. He completed 8th or maybe 6th grade and then went to work. His lifelong dream had been to be a doctor, but he didn't have the finances to do it. George Gunther, Bill's father, around 1927. George had a very serious lung disease. I can remember him having to inhale a strong concoction to help him breathe. George died in October of 1934. He died of either lung cancer or other lung complications. Christina Gunther on roof of their tenement in 1927. In August of 1941, Christina filed a declaration of intention to become a citizen. This is that declaration. By February 1942, she had to again register as an alien according to the Alien Registration Act of 1940. This act required aliens to report their address every 3 months, whether they moved or not. We are under the impression that Christina did finally receive her citizenship sometime before August 1943. My mother, Agnes, went with her. Bill enjoyed cars and seemed to like Buicks in particular. This is probably a 1926-27 model. During this time, Bill would go deer hunting in Maine. First year he went by train, but it was too much of a hassle to bring back the deer and equipment that way. After that year, he went by car. Arthur Wisick, a good friend of Bill's, and Bill would hire a guide for their hunting trips and reside and eat at the guide's home. These pictures are definite evidence of their success. This is a postcard. Bill would send a postcard home to let them know how that he arrived safely. On the back of this, dated November 7th, 1928, are the words, "Arrived safe and am feeling fine. Bill and Arthur." Bill never wasted words when he wrote. Bill was quite athletic. He enjoyed the water and was a good swimmer. Bill in a wooded area. Bill was best man in his friend Henry Detzel's wedding to Anna. Bill introduced them. Henry and him worked at Reed's. This is one of the few times Bill wore a tux. Eleanor and George Gunther with Eleanor's mom and dad. Eleanor and George were married after Bill and I were. We stood up for them. Now back to Bill and me. Here we are in May 1932 on a trip to East Marion. We had planned on getting married in the fall of 1932, after my 18th birthday, but Bill lost his job. We decided to wait until he was working again before we got married. Bill, Mrs. Woodger's mother, Mrs. Woodger, Mother, and Agnes. The same group, except Bill was taking the picture and I'm on the porch. On April 25, 1933, Bill and I were married in the manse at the Ebenezer Presbyterian Church in Ridgewood, Queens. Charles Yeager, pastor of the church, officiated at our wedding. Agnes, my sister, and George, Bill's brother, stood up for us. This picture was taken at my mother's house after the wedding. I made my wedding dress of a very, very pale blue fabric. Mother gave us $100 for the wedding. With this, we were able to purchase from Bloomingdale's our bed, mattress, spring, vanity, dresser, and chest of drawers, and have $20 left to buy the kitchen set of 4 maple chairs and a maple expanding table. Mother and Mother Gunther. Mother Gunther then told us to get our living room and dining room set as a gift from them. All these pieces are still in my home today. Bill and I ourselves reupholstered the sofa and chairs in the 1950s. Mrs. Wills, who lived on Mattituck Avenue, gave us the marble bedroom lamps and cobalt blue and gold egg cups that had been in her family. Diana has the egg cups. Dinner at the house after the wedding. We didn't go on a honeymoon. In the evening after the dinner, we had to go hunting for an alarm clock. Bill had forgotten to get one and knew he needed one because he had to be up around 2 a.m. to go to work the next day. We lived in one of the flats of Mom and Pop Gunther's tenement. At Christmas of 1933, Bill purchased a set of trains. The first year we had them on the floor around the Christmas tree. These are those trains. They are Lionel standard gauge 3-rail. Diana now has this set in California in true Christmas tradition. Diana and Denny have them around their Christmas tree, as you see here. Of course, this was our first Christmas, and he had his trains. Jones's Beach, summer of 1934. This beach umbrella lasted many years. We were using it until the 1950s in Mattituck. It is still usable in my attic. George Gunther, Bill's father, died in October of this year. My mother rented a flat on the top floor of Christina's house. Christina then moved in with my mother to help her adjust. It was nice having the family together. George and Eleanor gave birth to their first son, William, on May 21, 1935. This is a visit to our friend Mr. Monsko's home in New Jersey. Mother Gunther, Bill, and I did a lot together. Shortly after our wedding, Bill encouraged me to learn the violin while he studied the accordion. I played it for about 5 years. Bill had studied the violin as a child. I still have his child's violin and his full-size one, as well as my own. This is a receipt for the purchase of my violin. It was considered a good one. It was made from an old piece of timber by Will Kanowski, a violin maker in the area. During this time, 1935-36, we bought our first boat. This is the 18-foot boat. We also bought the creek house. We paid only about $58 for it. This house was a challenge. The state owned the land and allowed us to keep the building on it tax-free until they were going to use it. I believe it was about 8 years later when the police barracks were built there off Flatbush Avenue. We needed to use boardwalks or rowboats to get to the house. There was no electricity or plumbing, so all water and other supplies had to be hauled in too. One time we came here and someone had stolen all the windows from the building. Then in the spring of 1938, we went there to find the house gone completely. Neighbors said someone had come with a barge and at low tide had gotten under it. When the tide came in, they were able to float it off. Everyone thought we had sold it, so didn't even question. In 1936, my cousin Norman Nedved, mother's brother Peter's son, came on a visit from Canada. He spent some time with us at the Creek House. Then he visited with Mother at her house. Daisy, my dog, and Schmaltz, Mother Gunther's cat, pictured here with my mother, were also with us at the Creek House. Every once in a while, the swallows would go after Daisy and Schmaltz until one or both would fall off the boardwalk into the mud at low tide. I remember having to go into the mud to get them out. We had fun times there and lots of company. This is Evelyn on the boardwalk at the Creek House. Mother, again. I was about 20 years old then. This is Mother Gunther. She used to love to sit on that porch, and she really loved the place. Here she is again. Here are Rita Quinn, Hilda's husband, Martha Brinkman, Hilda Riviera, and Georgia Castanis. I dressed up to go for my violin lessons. Once when I was walking down the boardwalk, my neighbor called out hello to me. I turned around to wave, lost my balance, and wound up in the mud. I had jumped in the mud because if I didn't jump, I would have landed face down. That happened one other time. After the second time, I didn't turn around, no matter who was calling me. Dee Dee, Leo Dietrich, Mother Gunther, John Reitz, my cousin and mother. John was Aunt Mary's son. My father, Howard Parker, in 1936, as captain of his charter fishing boat. Individual parties would charter his boat for a day. And they caught plenty of fish at that time. George Gunther, Bill's brother. George was employed by the city of New York as a sanitation worker. George Gunther and his son William. Eleanor, George, and Bill lived in Brooklyn. Bill Gunther at age 2 years of age. Maybe this is 3, I'm not quite sure. Mother visited cousins Norm and Mervyn Nedved in Canada. They both enlisted in the Canadian Army. Norm was one of the first 13 Canadians to serve in England in World War II. While at the Creek House, we had an 18-foot boat, seen earlier. When I was checking out a new motor for it with the person who was selling it to us, We became stranded when the motor conked out. A storm was coming up, and we were drifting out to the ocean. The fellow who was with me was signaling for help. Finally, a cruiser came and towed us in. After that time, Bill decided we need a bigger boat. We could not find anything within our price range, so he decided to build one himself. He found the plans in Motorboat magazine, and I went into New York City to get them for him. After he studied the plans, he sent me back for the other half of them. The man at the magazine told me that half plans were made for boats and then doubled. Shows how little he knew about boat building. Because it was a round-bottom boat, Bill had to steam the white oak for the ribs. He completed the keel in the cellar of our house. Then he had it hauled to a rented garage at the creek. This is on the shore of the creek. This is me in the house, in the house part of the boat, the living part of the boat. This is Daisy. Bill used Philippine mahogany for most of the boat. Bill on the roof of the boat. During this time, I became pregnant with Herbie. Bill completed the Flying Eagle about the same time Herb was born. Matter of fact, the Flying Eagle's christening was supposed to be the same day as Herb's christening. Guess who won out? This concludes Chapter 2. Chapter 3 will start with the birth of Herbert.